All right, so let's jump right in. So you'll notice that our first agenda item is to review and approve the minutes from the last meeting, which was November 8th, 2023. Mary, thank you for completing those. And Amy, thank you for sending them along with the agenda. Hopefully everyone got a chance to look through it. Does anyone have a question for Mary or for another member of the committee? We're wondering if something is maybe not, exactly represented correctly, any errors, any typos, any little thing.
Looked good to me.
Same here. Mary, is there anything that you caught? You're always your toughest critic.
Nope, I didn't see anything this time.
Yeah, I thought it looked fine. Okay, so then do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and let's move to a roll call vote. Helene Busby.
So I wasn't here. I was at another meeting.
Okay, so
I'm sure they're fine, but I'll just abstain because,
Totally. I completely understand that. Okay, Michael Filsetti,
Yes.
Chris Gothier,
Yes.
Mike McGrath-Smith, yes, and then Mary Moriarty.
Yes.
Am I missing anybody who has come in after we started? Okay, no, that's everybody. Okay, all right, let's move to the second agenda item, which is the update on the Veterans Graves application. Amy, do you want to walk through your back and forth with the city solicitor on this? And I know that I had my own interpretation of this, but I think it just makes sense for you to just walk through the language of sort of what you did and what the city solicitor did as you kind of had some back and forth.
Yeah, so it took a long time to get clarity from the city solicitor, a lot of back and forth. At one point she said, yes, this is eligible because it's the work itself is not maintenance, so it's eligible. But I kept asking her about the no supplanting rule with CPA because part of the state law that Wayne Kling, who's the who's proposing this project, sent to me was showing that he's a veterans graves officer. He's a volunteer position, and there is the city can supply a budget. There's for maintaining veterans graves. However, they don't have money. There's never been, I don't think a budget has ever been proposed to city councilors, and it has not been approved for that reason. So what I was asking Attorney Degnan is, would this be a violation of no supplanting because the regular city budget could apparently fund this according to state law? I also asked Stuart Saganor. Anyway, she said that no, it's not a violation of the no supplanting rule, just as a long story short. And I guess basically because there is no current revenue stream for it, Stuart Saganor kind of had a similar response saying it's kind of a local decision in that case. I asked him, Wayne Kling, who's with us, if he ever has submitted a proposed budget to the city council or anyone else for the upkeep of the graves, and he says no, they haven't. So that's the scoop on them.
The hard part is, like, honestly though, when I look through it, and I am the person here that's like dragging behind, because when I read the language from the state statute, it says, if the cost of such care and maintenance is not paid for by private persons or by the trustees of the cemeteries where any such grave is situated, it shall be paid by the city or town. And cities and towns may appropriate money therefore. And it's just really murky language. It says shall and may right next to each other. It says like shall, to me, it means will, right? They will do it, which to me is like, okay, then it's supplanting. Then in the next line, it says they may, right? So that to me is really murky. I mean, do I think it's a popular project? And there probably is not going to be a whole lot of oversight pushing on this language and what does it mean? And if it was an unpopular project, yeah, I think somebody would say like, of course, this language is unclear and it seems like it could be supplanting. So I just think that it's a murky situation And I think we can move forward, but I do think that it'll have to be, I will name it in any space I'm in. That I do think the language is murky. Like, I think the state statute makes really clear that the city should have a line item. We need to maintain our graves for our veterans. It's a part of our societal contract to value the sacrifice of these people and maintain them in perpetuity. So I just think that I understand that we want to use CPA funding to do it. I understand that it's falling under historic and the city solicitor has said that it's eligible and not supplanting. But I don't read the state statute in that way. It reads to me like we're supposed to have a line item in the city budget for it.
Take it up with the mayor. I mean, what do you want from us?
I just need to
why are
know
we
where I'm at. Like, I will, and I have.
Well, I mean, go ahead. What are we talking for money here?
Well, that's my point, because it's ongoing. It has to keep being done, right? Like, it's never just going to be a one-time thing done, right? There's a lot of veterans graves in the city, and we're going to have to keep maintaining them over time.
What
All
are we?
right, Wayne, I just want to recognize your hand. Thank you for joining us, and please weigh in. We'd love to hear your thought. Thank you for joining us.
Reason that I applied for the CPA to begin with was because there has never been a Veterans Graves Officer for the city of Oak. There's never been a budget for it. I was not, when I said I would take over the job of Veterans Graves Officer, I didn't know
And we
what I
thank
was
you for
getting
that.
into.
Thank you.
Yeah, the thing about it is I started it underneath the tax work-off program at doing database entry of the deceased veterans from World War II forward. I'm now going back. There was about 5,000 veterans from the city of Holyoke that were in the database, not including the 6,000 that I haven't entered in back to the Revolutionary War that we have records for. The thing about it is that I thought that was what I was going to be doing, is looking in. And you're right. What happened was I went out to Smith Ferry, and all of the, other than St. Jerome, all of the cemeteries in the city of Holyoke are historic sites. So what I looked at, I was not aware of all the laws and stuff until I started this process and got into the application for you guys. I went out to Smith's Ferry and was looking at the graves out there. I've been out taking pictures of veterans' graves and looking for graves that I might not have in my database. And I saw how well kept up it was. I saw plaques. I saw how clean some of the Revolutionary War stones were out there. And I'm going, okay, this is something that I might be able to apply for. Mm-hmm. So I started talking around. I got to Tamara Conde, who is the conservator that helped us with Smith Ferry. I talked to Olivia Mazel, and everybody was, oh yeah, it's there. So I put for that. There's also the Shrab grant. I put in for that, and I didn't get in there in time. I almost didn't make it for you folks. I didn't about all of these things. I've never done this in my life, to be honest with you. I took it on to learn and to make sure that everybody are taken care of. And that's why I didn't put in a big budget. I figured that $6,000 was going to be a starting stone, because I do know that what I was looking at was the not so much the maintenance, but the restoration, the preservation of the cracked stones and that type of thing. And when I read, that was what I went for, because I had Tamara Conde working with me on it. I went back and started reading the chapter 115 law, and I saw what you saw. It is developing up into that, and it's kind of a wishy-washy whether the veterans' graves fit underneath the historical or the veterans. They did it, all of the graves out at Smith Ferry, not just the civilian, the veterans, all of it was done. That's where I started at. You're right. I'm putting together with Luz Rivera, the director of the Veteran Services. We are, based on what we're finding out with doing this project that I've submitted to you guys, is what we need to budget. And we will find out more by the end of this summer. This is the first year that this has ever been done. And I was asking for basically a 50% match. The project is is about $13,000, $14,000 rounded up. So I thought I'd put in for half of that. And I talked to the Veteran Services Department. Their bid is good enough that the other half of that will be covered there this year. Based on what we learned from this year, budgeting for next year's budget, I couldn't get into this year's budget to get any money. This is kind of shifting money around to give me that money, was to have a budgeting plan to go to the city in the future and work on it. Wasn't trying to take anybody's money. It was just basically what I'd seen from where I was at till I got to the point that we're at here now. But that there is a budgeting process. You are correct, but nobody in this city has ever asked for it until I showed up. So that's where all that came from.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers
No,
your
it
questions on how I
does.
got to where I got.
No, it does, and I gives us good context, and I think just from my perspective, moving forward, I think maybe we can slide it under this year, under the piece that no money has been ever asked for, right? But moving forward, it's very clear to me, there needs to be a line item in the budget, and we need to plan for this in perpetuity. So, and I think
Yes.
maybe that's a happy medium, right? In terms of us seeing this as an eligible CPA project this year, but I think moving forward, it will need to be something that is in the municipal budget. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I
Okay.
know, but that's how I worked into this and ended up with you folks. So
Yes, well, we
can say
really
this is my
appreciate
I'm
your
ever
work,
doing
Wayne.
anything
We
like
do.
this.
Well, thank you so much for
Yeah, like I
coming and
say,
explaining your context, and
I-
we'll look forward to hearing more as we're going into the process from you when we have the public presentations in January.
yeah, we have just under 4,000 veterans graves in the city of Holyoke. If you didn't know that, between the 5 cemeteries, there's a lot of graves. And what really amazed me when I've been out on Memorial Day and Veterans Day was looking at the ones that are even early as Vietnam that aren't being maintained. The stones are dirty, they're not clean, they're tilting. Those kind of things need to be taken care of. It's kind of became a second passion for me in my retirement to do this kind of stuff. So that's where it come from. So thank you very much for talking with me.
Of course. Well, thank you very much, and we appreciate you coming as well, and also just all of the work that you're doing for the city. Thank you. Okay, I want to move to the next agenda item, unless we have any
but
other
wait.
questions. Yep.
Excuse
Go
me,
ahead, Mary.
do we need a motion to say that we agree or disagree with saying that it's eligible, or we just, I see on the grid that it says Kathy Degnan says it is eligible. Do we just leave it at that, or do we need a motion?
I think we can leave it at that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so
Thank
let's
you
move
very
to the
much.
next agenda item. Thank you so much, Wayne. Okay, we're gonna move to number 3, which is review process and dates for the January public meetings. Amy, what are the dates for the 2 meetings, and which categories are presenting on which nights?
Okay, the historic applicants are going to be presenting on January 10th. And open and rec space and housing will be presenting January 17th. So it'll be, the 6 p.m. The Zoom meetings have already been set up, and I've already had applicants sign up. I'll have to check to see if everybody has. And then next, I'll need to arrange to have the notices posted in the papers.
In terms of the agendas, and this, I think B and C tie in together. The first one says agendas, and then the second, and then the following number C or letter C says public communication. So the agendas are certainly part of that, and getting the postings put out there in the newspapers, which of course we're legally required to do. And the other piece, I think, is just making sure that we're putting it on Facebook, that we're sharing it around, we're letting interested parties know. In the past, we have also used a survey in order to get public information. So I would like us to very much kind of, as you go, use the same sort of process we've used in the past, which would mean that we would create a survey and that we would put it out along with the presentation links So once the meetings, recordings are live, we'll be able to then link in the recording with the survey and get that out afterwards so that we have a sense of kind of the public's support of a certain project. One of our categories in the rubric when we score projects is public support. And of course, we can determine that through letters, right? If someone has a number of letters that they're using in support of their project, we can also use the survey results. And similar process, everyone will be expected to read the applications prior to coming to those meetings, so they're prepared to ask questions of the applicants. That's your time to push, to ask clarifying questions, to read in and see if something doesn't quite make sense to you and ask for information there. And then after that, everyone will get the links to then score the projects so that when the committee meets in February, you're meeting and right away able to see how everyone scored the projects, and you can take the ones that are most popular and a more, highest scored, I guess is what I should say, and move through the projects until you have satisfied the funding that's available. One thing that will be important will be having another check-in with the financial consultant prior to that so that we feel completely solid on how much funding that we have. So that's definitely an agenda item that we'll have to build in for February. Just because it's helpful, go in with exactly, this is the dollar amount. As you're making choices, we're debiting from the accounts so that we know in our minds what's left, so that we're balancing priorities against the reality of the funding that we have. In terms of the agendas, to go back, the first agenda item for the first meeting, we'll be reviewing the meetings of this meeting. And there'll also be a need to either affirm the current chair or to vote for a new one. In terms of my timeline, because I have been elected to city council on January 1, I will tender a letter of resignation from the committee as the community rep. January 2nd, I will be seated on council and we'll go to city council chambers for an organization meeting where we will vote for the president. And then in the next day or two, we should receive our assignments. So if I am, appointed back to the CPA as the city council rep, then one of our agenda items at the very beginning of our next meeting will be affirming, do you want me to continue being your chair? But also my role is changing. And so it's okay too, if it's the will of the committee, to shift chairs at that point, right? And I will support whoever that person is. If they want to fill my seat as chair between, the January meeting and when my term would have ended, which is June 30th. And then July 1, you will vote for a new chair. Or if I am, not seated on city council or not seated as the city council rep to the CPA, if it's not one of my assignments, then amongst you all, you'll have to decide who is your new chair. And then if there's any other movements, right? So if the secretary becomes the chair or the vice president becomes the chair, right? Then you also have to vote for new roles for those as well. Okay, so just naming that reality. And then of course, the next meeting will be simpler. You'll just start with the presentations. One thing to ask is about public comment and your preferences. So we've done public comment different ways. In some meetings, we've allowed people to kind of, unmute, right? They can tell Amy, hey, I would like to speak and, in support of a project. And we've created a line item just for public comment. So folks can just speak to a project. Could be a project they really want to support or a project they want to speak against. That's okay too. Or if they wanted to share their priorities for what they would like CPA to do. We can do that at the beginning, or you could do it actually sort of allow for public comment as part of the Q&A after each. And I'm wondering what the preference is of the committee. Mary.
Well, I foresee that it will be very time consuming. So I think we have to establish that anybody that offers public comment would have X number of seconds or minutes that they could present. Secondly, if it is interjected along with each project, while that would seem like the proper sequence, I think that will slow things up a lot also. So then I guess I would like it to be all at once. In other words, a designated time, either at the beginning or the end of the meeting.
Would you prefer at the beginning? Yeah. Okay, and we could set a time limit of 90 seconds or 2 minutes.
Well,
thoughts?
first, let me ask though, before we say yes to that, are we paying the consultant to come, or is there anybody else that we have to be concerned about if we have this period of time in the beginning?
No.
Okay.
No, because it
All
would
right.
be like one would be for the first public presentation on January 10th, it would be like one would be like any necessary votes for the executive committee. And then 2 would be review the minutes from this meeting. And then agenda item 3 would be public comment. And we could
okay.
name a specific time, like no longer than 15 minutes. And then we can begin the presentations. Colleen?
Mhm. Yeah. I don't know
And
why
we may
I
not
can't,
have any public comment, but there may be.
I can't figure out why I can't do raising my hand. It's very strange. So anyway, I just wanted to say that I guess, but if a public comment is before the presentations, then people are commenting without having seen our questions and the present. I don't know. So I guess that to me seems not ideal. I guess I would rather the public comment to be after each presentation, even if it'll take a little longer. I don't think there's going to be a lot, but it just seems like also more confusing because if people are coming in and sometimes people have comments to make that are based on incorrect information or a rumor or whatever, and that gets identified and addressed during the presentation, then the comment may be very different or may not be made, or anyway, so that those would be my 2 cents.
Yeah, Mary.
In the case that it is done along that way along with the presentation, will there then be back and forth? In other words, say public comment says my opinion and then offers something erroneous, then the
Applicant
person,
response.
the applicant comes back.
I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
I don't want
I
to
don't
put
know.
applicants in the position of feeling like they have to respond to public comment. So I guess I would prefer it to be batched either at the beginning or at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I'm amenable to the end also, either way. At the end would at least allow the people commenting to have been informed by the presentations.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm seeing at end, so we'll do the public presentations and then public comment.
Amy
Okay.
has a question, Meg.
Okay, what's your question, Amy?
Quick question. Were you saying before that at the first public meeting with the presentations on January 10th is also when you'll have on the agenda the issue of who is going to be chair?
You'll have to. You won't have a chair.
Right, so you're putting that on the agenda, that there'll be a vote or something for who's
Yep.
chair. Okay, just wanted to know.
We'll have to be thoughtful and efficient.
Well,
Yeah, Mary.
is there any other way?
Other than us having another meeting, no.
How about would it be a special meeting? So how about a special meeting in advance of the
Yeah, if it's the will of the committee, we could. So it could be that we attempt to, let me look at where the January 10th meeting falls. Like we could have a single item, agenda on Monday, the 8th, where we pop on for 10 minutes and pop off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll also have to look to make sure that it doesn't conflict with another Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
But-
I just have for myself, I have completely booked work-wise until the 8th. And so I just don't see any time before then for me to be available to meet. And I'm trying to stick to, these dates we have on the calendar ahead of time. So I guess I would prefer us be very quick about the election. It's just really hard to throw in additional meetings right now. So that would be my thought.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that I will just throw out there too, and then I see your hand, Chris. Regardless of what happens on the Wednesday, I'm happy to support in whatever way the committee wants me to. So, all right, Chris.
Just because we're all busy, I mean, is it something we can just maybe start the meeting, 15 minutes before or get it over with, or?
How many historic presentations will we have, Amy? How many?
Five.
I
It's
don't have it
fine.
right in front of me
It's
at this.
5, Chris. Okay.
Yes.
And we always tell them 5 or 7 minutes. It always ends up being 20.
Right, right, right.
Like at least. Well, because there's back and forth, right? You're asking questions, you're hearing answers back, they're looking for info, right? Like it's fine, right? It's all part of the process, making up the sausage. But each one takes 20 minutes as a minimum is what we've found. So if we have 5, that's 20, 40, 60, 80. It'll be an hour and a half minimum, right? So I will say that the public presentation meetings sometimes go right to 8, sometimes they've gone to 8:30, so sort of just budgeting time accordingly sort of is what it is. And I think we just have to do it on that date. I think it's going to be too complicated for the committee to meet otherwise. Especially the holidays, there's a lot of meetings on the calendar and a lot of them are very compressed and in weird times. They're not normally. People are rescheduling meetings and moving things and it can get really messy.
Can we give the applicants a time limit as well? I mean, is that something you have done in the past?
Yeah, so we normally say 5 to 7 minutes. Well, Amy can reach back out and reaffirm, like we really want to keep it to 7. I will say most of the extra time comes from the committee. And I actually think in general it's due diligence. So I don't want to tell people like, don't say, keep it moving because I think people ask good questions. And, I find the things that come out in the conversation after the applicant often is what leads them to be scored highly or not highly. Okay. All right, can we move forward to number 4?
Well, is that all set?
I'm
so
proposing
we're-
that we just have the first agenda item is the rules votes in the first public presentation meeting, which is January 10.
And then the public questions will be at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, yeah, that's the will of the committee.
And what time limit are they going to have for the public questions? I mean, for the public comments, how much, what do we allow?
It's up to the chair. The chair can name it on the fly, but it's generally for city council, it's 90 seconds, which honestly feels really short. 2 minutes feels respectful. So maybe 2 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, in the past, we haven't seen it, right? I mean, it's possible, right? I think it's important to leave space for it on the agenda. But in the past, we
Yes.
have not seen significant public comment because most people that want to comment, they do so in the form of a letter, right? And they send it to us or an email and they send it to us. And then we can read it into the record or we can acknowledge it as part of the record. Okay, number 4. So this is the potential removal of Community Representative Francesca Nunez. So I'm gonna read from our bylaws. So Article 9, committee member attendance. Committee members are expected to be present at and participate in committee meetings. Any member who's absent from 3 or more consecutive regular meetings or all of the meetings held during 4 calendar months. Any member who's absent, may be asked to resign from the committee or may be removed by a majority vote of the remaining members, provided that notice of the proposed vote is given to the member and to their appointing authority. And in this case, the appointing authority is the city council. The city council clerk was notified and they notified the rest of the city council. I reached out by email and phone to Francesca Nunez and asked, are you interested in continuing on the committee? We have not seen you in meetings in over 4 months. Do you want to continue on? Otherwise, we are going to explore opening the seat so that we can have someone else join. I did not hear back. So I'm bringing it to the committee. I'm going to make a motion for us to open the seat so that someone else can join as a community rep. I will say the community reps really matter. Every chair we've ever had, by the way, has been a community rep. That's because everyone else is appointed from another board or commission. people are tapped, they're busy, right? Like all of you, I love you. Like you're giving even more of your time by becoming a CPA, right? Lee's like, why do I do this to myself? But it's true, right? Like everyone else on CPA is appointed to CPA because you're already on another board or commission, right? Like you're like the super mega civic involved folks. So it's really important to have really involved community reps who can then also step up into leadership roles and support the committee in other ways. And so I think it's really important that we have someone who's here. We don't have someone who's here. And we can choose to, we followed the process. I think we can choose to do that tonight with a majority vote.
Mhm.
Michael?
Madam Chairman, did you actually speak with her?
Nope, I reached out by email and I called.
So you're under the presumption that the emails and the phone numbers are accurate and correct.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wish that I had gotten a response back.
If it was, for my lack of knowledge on emails, if someone had changed their email, would they not know to contact us, this committee, for example? That's if she didn't come back to us and say, look, I changed my email. If you guys been trying to get a hold of me, it's not working out, or some way that she can contact us and say, I changed my email or I changed my phone number. So I haven't been able to talk with you folks.
Yeah.
Is that done? Is that how technology works for emails? Is that how that?
I mean, it didn't bounce back to me as an email that's no longer in use, which means the email hasn't been ended. The person could choose to not use the email anymore without actually ending the email, but we wouldn't have a way of knowing that. But it's also like a due diligence piece around like missed 8 meetings out of 12 in the calendar year. And
Madam Chairman, you're right. But if possible, I would rather write a letter or type a letter and have the post office deliver it to her. I mean, and then
honestly, there's no guarantee that the address is correct.
I mean,
Well-
in my world, in a situation like this, you would do a certified letter.
Okay.
You'd submit it, and then with no response, it's like there's no response.
precisely.
So I guess I would be more just to,
Okay.
just to be clear that this is the last known address we have, and there was no response, because, all sorts of things can happen, and then where somebody might have, I'm not going to speculate, but just, why they might not be in touch. And then, but generally they would, if they're in their home, they would get the letter. So I guess I would be, maybe if we could do that before removing someone from this public board, I guess I would prefer that.
I agree, Madam Chairman.
Okay. All right. Well, that's 2 folks. Mary and Chris, where do you stand?
I'm going through the same thing with the historical commission. We do have a member that's missed, I think, 6 plus meetings, and we're kind of discussing the same situation at this time. Going through our bylaws, et cetera, on proper procedure, what we have to do to rectify the situation.
And I think a certified letter is probably the best thing, but I did hear, I didn't see it myself, but that there was a discussion already about posting for a new community representative. So I don't know if that was for Megan's position or for.
No, it was for this one. And the reason why is because I notified the appointing authority, right? Which is part of our bylaws, is like before you even start the process, you're supposed to notify the appointing authority that you're planning to go through this process. And so they said, well, we should just start posting it now, right? So that we can start getting it out there that we're likely to want to interview people. I think there's also there's a time lag for how these things work. And I think there's some concern that with one absent member and then me also suddenly gone, right? Like, what does quorum look like going into presentations, like going into like the most important part of the year for our committee? So I think that there's a time issue too. Okay. All right. I'll figure out with Amy how to do a certified letter. But I will then also add it to the Gen 10 agenda. Because we have to vote on it to move it forward. Like the city council can't appoint anybody new until we've voted. Okay.
Sure.
Okay, just writing that down so I can
Oh,
remember it.
just to totally clarify, but if this person resigned, we wouldn't have to vote,
Yes.
but we'd have to hear from them to resign. So
Yes. Yeah, my contact would be great. I just haven't had any contact back yet. Okay, all right, so let's move to the next one. Boop, boop. Okay, updates on past projects included but limited to, and we're gonna have to move fast. Okay, so Jones Point Park Master Plan. So they went through 2 rounds of community meetings, and then I had a follow-up meeting with a member from Tyne Bond and Tom Reynolds, the Parks and Rec director, and they are very much now sort of in the weeds of figuring out what they want to bring to us in their completed CPA application. That's sort of coming along the pipeline. The Wistariahurst scope of work change request was approved by the finance subcommittee and then by the city council. Amy has drafted the amendment and has had it approved by myself and Michael on the contract subcommittee. So we are moving forward with circulating that and moving forward and completing that, which is great. The fire truck. We have a request for additional funding, and Tom Shea is here. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you for inviting me, everybody. I appreciate that.
Would you mind just walking us through where you're at and where this additional ask for funding is coming from?
Okay, right now we're about 65, 70% finished with the fire truck. I was up there Monday. He was putting the radiator on next to the mechanicals, the wiring, and the back portion where they put the hose bed. That's the last part of it that needs to be done. And then it's put the chrome plating back on and then the gold leafing. But it's going to take a little bit of time to do that. And the reason I'm asking for funding now is there's 2 railings in the back and fittings that DNS plating was not able to do. And they didn't put a bid in because they knew they weren't able to do it. I was able to find a plating company in Manchester, Connecticut. I'm Manchester. And the price of that is $4,352. And as of right now, with the budget, I've got $29.38 for a balance and everything else accounted for. Even though Clark Paint hasn't been paid yet, he hasn't done the work, but so Coker Tile's been paid. Bob's Radiator's been paid. Rusty Ride has $38,051.40 been paid to them. And I just submitted the final 2 bids for DNS. I'm sorry, I'm not looking up, just looking at my paperwork. I apologize. And after those 2 invoices are paid, they'll be paid in full. So I'm looking for the extra funding to finish up the chrome. And is it possible to add on some more money just in case something does come up? Because as of right now, I've got $29 left instead of going through this again to keep the project moving. And if in fact you do agree to it, it's probably only be for like 3 months. And if I do need extra funding, obviously I'll give you guys a heads up before I spend the money, even though you granted me extra money to as a buffer, if possible.
Okay, questions from the committee? Michael, did I see your hand? Yes.
Tom, thank you, Madam Chairman. Tom, would the amount, would you would say you're 90% done with the project?
No, we're about 65, 70% done.
Okay, so, and you have, did you say you had $29 left or something in your balance?
$29.38, yes.
How much?
$29.38.
Okay, wow. And you need more money, and you're asking for about $4,050 for this portion that DNS Plating could not do.
$4,352.
Okay, $4,400.
Okay.
And that will take up that portion that you described that DNS
Yes.
couldn't do. But
Yes.
then, are there any more line items that must be done to the truck to complete it? Are there any other apparatus or methodologies that have to be done to the truck in addition to the $4,100?
As of right now, I don't know. From the beginning of the project, this is something original for me and it's original for you guys. And every day it's just fluid. We're just working through it. And I can't say yes or no that there will be something else coming up. I don't know because this is the first time I've done this.
No, that's okay. Well, is the mechanics of the truck there? I mean, is it operable? Is it?
No.
Is,
No,
It's
it's not up. No.
okay, so this $4,400 piece of the puzzle is to complete that portion that you described.
Yes.
Okay, no, that's fine. What else has to be done to it?
We got to put the back hose bed on. It's got to be sandblasted, bodywork done, painted. The electrical's got to get done to it.
In addition to all this,
Yes.
in addition to the 4,400.
I'm sorry. I misunderstood the question.
He's asking if it's out of the original grant that work will be paid for.
Yes. Yes. Yes, it will. I'm sorry. Yes, it will be.
No, that's fine. So the $4,400 will cover that portion you described this evening.
Yes.
Right.
And, okay. How much more that will take us from 70% of the work completed to, will that take us to 90%? Do you think? Or how much is it? Do we need a new engine? Do we need more tires?
No.
What is it that?
No, it's the stuff now that we're doing, the $4,300 for chrome plating on the rear of the fire truck. And DNS plating was not able to do that because the pipes that are on there, they bend down at a right and left angles. They could not plate it. So I
Okay.
found somebody to do it, and it's going to cost $4,350 to do the chrome plating. And then that's done. As if that's paid, I'll still have $29.38 left over.
Okay, to your knowledge, what additional work needs to be done besides the plating?
As of right now,
Yes.
I could say none, but I don't know. I don't know.
Are there any big ticket items that are missing on the truck that have to be paid for,
No,
that are additional?
no. There's
Okay.
no big ticket items now, except for the chrome plating that I'm talking about right now. So
Okay,
the motor is fine. Motor runs, radiator's fine. Everything runs in the truck, just putting it back together again. But as we're putting it back together again, I'm sure we're gonna run into a couple of hiccups here and there.
okay. Would you say $6,000 would be the, I mean, I know we're throwing darts at this. Would $6,000, to your knowledge, at this point in the ballgame, would $6,000 cover any additional or hidden costs that may arise?
That's like $1,300 left. $1,300 extra
No.
over.
You need $4,400 now.
Yes, yes.
So instead of giving you $4,400, what if we gave you an allocation of $6,000? $4,400 would be part of the $6,000. In other words, you get an additional $2,000, let's say. Say we gave you a total of $6,000 to totally complete the job. The $4,400 is part of that $6,000. So you wouldn't have to come back here in 2 months from now and ask for more money. I'm just wondering if you had any sense of that.
I don't right now. I don't. The $6,000 would be greatly appreciated. I'm sure we're going to run into a couple of hiccups here and there. I don't think they're going to be major, but that would be a great start.
So, but if you didn't spend up, you could return the money. It would
Well,
just
absolutely.
be spent.
Yes,
Okay.
it's
All
only
right.
a
No,
loan.
that's fine. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Tom, why do you think there's gonna be more hiccups?
Because as we've been going along, with the woodworking, when we first started, the woodworking underneath the fire truck looked decent. We thought we were going to be able to refurbish it. There was aluminum plating on top of it and plywood on top of that. And the woodworking that was there was all rotted out. There was holes drilled in it from prior apparatus being mounted to it. So we ended up tearing it all off. I ended up redoing it. And the restoration guy got a price of $15,000 for woodworking. I'm ended up doing the woodworking myself to save the $15,000. For the chrome removal, that was like $3,000 to remove it. To put the chrome back on was 5,200. We're taking it off and putting it on ourselves. So, and the tires and the rims with the split rims, that was about $400. So, as we're going along, we're getting hiccups, but we're addressing them in-house, not coming to you guys looking for more funding.
Mhm.
So,
Good job.
thank you.
I appreciate that. Okay, other thoughts about where to go with this from the committee? What's your intuition in terms of what we should do?
We have the money?
Yeah, that's a question. I mean, yeah, we'd be pulling it out of the money for projects this year, but yeah.
Oh, thank you.
We have to go through the process with city council, right? Like we have to ask them, can we extend? I don't see them saying no, right? But we'd have to go through the process of asking them and getting permission. Michael?
Madam Chairman, given the nature of this singular piece of equipment in Hoyoke
Yeah.
history and the money we've already spent on it, I would like to make a proposal that at this point tonight, if we have $6,000, to allocate $6,000 to Tom Shea in the fire department truck. And hopefully this puts this baby to bed. They can complete the job and get the truck back into the city, and that all will be well. So I'd like to make it if tonight, Madam Chairman, if you're looking for a proposal, I will like to make a proposal that we give this fire department, if we have the money, $6,000 hopefully the completion of the truck.
Tom, is that gonna be enough? Or are you gonna be back here in 3 months?
I hope not. Like I said, it's 65% complete right now. The bulk of the work is done, like I said, with the woodworking, the chrome plating, and so I want to say yes, but I can't guarantee it. We're in really good shape where we are.
Okay.
And
Does 6,000 sound like the right number to other folks?
Thing.
Mhm. Well, it's more honestly, it's not that we don't have the funding, it's that I don't wanna make sure that I don't want this to happen again.
Well,
And I know that Tom's good for the money and know that you're doing your due diligence. You're being very thoughtful about doing things in-house when you can, and know you're not just being frivolous with the funding. So I'm wondering if it makes sense to give you more than 6. Just to make sure that this is done and then you're not coming back.
well, at
So,
some point, it's only going to be probably till around March. So the money's on loan to me for say 12, 14 weeks tops. So it's not I'm not going to be holding this money for another year and a half or anything like that, where it could be used someplace else. If that
Michael,
helps, you
can
vote.
I amend your motion up to 7,500?
Madam Chairman, let's make it 8,000 and just call it, we'll keep our fingers crossed and hopefully it'll be less than that. But you raise an interesting point. This is renovations, and renovations, as we all know, sometimes don't go according to plan, whether it's a building or a house or a fire truck. So let's make it 8,000 and
Okay.
God bless you all.
Well, do I have a second?
Before I second, can I ask a question? So presently the motion says, if we have the whatever amount, say 8,000, we should allocate the money to the fire truck project.
The
Okay,
motion,
so
yeah, the motion
so-
accurately is to propose an increase in the grant for this project up to $8,000 to city council for their approval.
all right, well, that was the key to what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
You said up to $8,000. So therefore, if we don't have 6, but we have 2, would that be, how would that be decided and that be given? Or
I mean,
if we had
we have
4,
the funding. I'm not worried about the funding. We do have the funding.
Okay. all right. All right, second,
Okay. Any further discussion?
Amy wanted to say something.
Well, I'm
just
sorry, I
knowing
thought
we
you
have 10
finished.
minutes left till this meeting closes and I want to get to the next agenda item, so I'm just trying to move. Yes, go ahead, Amy.
No, I thought you finished the vote. I just was gonna quickly
No.
ask Tom if,
You have to vote.
okay, finish voting.
Helene Busby,
Yes.
Michael Falsetti,
Yes,
Chris Gothier,
Yes.
Meg McGrath Smith, yes, Mary Moriarty,
Yes.
All right, Amy, quickly, and then we're gonna move
But
to the,
just, Tom, if you could write up a brief explanation of the reason for the increase, and I can use that in the recommendation to city council, and that'll move things along
Okay,
faster.
I will.
Thank you. Just send it to me.
Okay.
thank you, Tom. Really appreciate all
Everybody-
your work on this.
Thank you for your time. I do appreciate it.
Okay, Tom, good
Happy
luck.
holidays and happy new year. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Okay, so in the 9 minutes we have left, I'm gonna move that we table 7, 8 to the next, to a further meeting upcoming, because I actually don't think that we'll do update from the CPA Administrator probably until we get to February. And I want to just name that we're gonna end with agenda item 6. So I'd love to hear from the Historic Commission Chair and anyone else here from the Historic Commission, just some big takeaways from the presentations last night and anything that you want our eyes on as we're going deeper into the applications.
Okay, and I'll be very quick. The commission did vote actually for all of the 5 projects
Cool.
to support the historical significant. I did have one question. I don't know if it would be more for Amy or for you. When the merry-go-round presented, we have here 14,575, but she was talking 16,800 something. I think she did say she did reach out to one of you about the increase. I don't know if
Yes,
that's
we
or
got
do
it.
do I even have to worry about that, or
I mean, someone's always able to ask for more as they're shifting to the final application. If things do
Okay.
come out, or suddenly the committee pushes them to, hey, remember you have to build in signage. Remember you have to, right? Oh, suddenly they're like, oh, we should increase the budget by 500, or right. So that's okay.
okay. I'll again very quick. That was also another very quick comment about placement of some type of CPA plaques. Is that going to be involved in, I know we have brought this up, especially with Girls Incorporated, future projects. Is this going to be something added, part of the application, what have you? If we can maybe open that up at another time, that would be great. And-
One question is
Yeah.
when the committee is looking at the budget, because
Mhm.
every single project has to put a budget in to the application.
Mhm.
Should definitely make sure in the presentations that we check, have they named CPA signage in the budget, and then bring it up to them.
Okay.
Because we really need, I mean, we've just experienced this enough times where projects they just don't realize how expensive permanent signage is. They don't budget for it, and then it becomes an issue. And like, that's on us, I think, at this point, to like, we know to look for it. We should make sure that it's in the budget. So when we look
Okay.
at the budget, let's just make sure our eyes on that. And then even in public presentations, one of our questions, if it's not in there, can be, do you know that the average cost of a permanent sign can be between $500 and $600? Right?
Okay.
Once you include the design work and the fabrication of the metal. I don't see that in your budget. Tonight, as we are considering voting on your projects in the future, are you going to expand by that amount of money and build it into your budget? Like, I mean, we even did that with the Jones Point Park master plan last cycle. They came in asking for 30,000. And we said, no, there needs to be a boundary survey, right? So then we said, okay, we're gonna kick in an additional 2,500 to make sure you can also do that as part of your project. So we have the capacity to raise someone's, budgetary ask, even as we're voting, right? We can always choose to do that.
Yeah.
And I think we should, if someone has not built in the signage, we should do that for them and tell them why we're increasing it based on that.
Now, is that included somewhere in the application? I didn't really see anything like that.
Yeah,
In the-
it's in the application,
Is it? Okay.
but yeah, but sometimes we'll just have to check it, but they do.
Okay. Okay. All right. And just very quickly, I'd like to talk very briefly about Tyler. I'm going to be asking him to do these 5 physical reports on each one of these projects, correct?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. The presentations were absolutely right on target. It was long though, I will say. But very
they
thorough.
Is the recording live now?
Yes.
Yes, you,
Okay.
We
Sorry.
did have the last, and that's kind of the reason why we had issues the last 2 attempts to have a meeting. There was issues with the cameras, and it actually started this last evening as well. I guess there was several meetings going on in City Hall, so the connection towards the end got really difficult.
Okay. But I think the one thing that I'm excited about is, one, it's recorded, right? We can all go and watch if there's a specific project we want to hear how they presented as Historic Commission. And then we'll also have the reports from Tyler that we will then submit to the city solicitor, and that we will also be able to review as part of their applications.
Okay, and Tyler's deadline will be for the, I just wrote it down somewhere, now I don't remember where. That will be the first January meeting, correct?
The 10th,
The 10th.
January 10th.
Yes, the historics will be on the 10th. Is that your question?
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, Amy just messaged me an interesting idea, but I don't know if it would mess with the applicants, Amy. So one idea is that we actually have a number of items of business that we have to do on the next meeting, and we have 5 historic applicants. We only have 3 open space, rec, and housing applicants. So Amy's suggestion is that we could move some historic applicants to the second meeting, or that we could even flop them.
To spread it out, you mean the time wise?
Would that mess with the applicants too much, Amy, if we did that?
I don't think so, because that would just give people more time to prepare.
Well, the historic ones, not the other ones. I'm saying like flip flop, like tell Parks and Housing, you're actually going on the 10th.
Oh,
And
wait a
historic,
minute,
you're
why
all
would we
going on
do
the-
that? I'm sorry, confused. My idea was that
I
the
know.
historic one is the 10th. Why not move some of those to the other date? Why would you move the other people? I don't
It's just
understand.
helpful for the public, I think, to keep them in categories. And so people are like, I'm gonna go see what the historic projects are. It's this night. You know what I mean? I think that makes more sense.
Yeah, I
to me.
know, but I thought you were,
So
but-
I'm saying, Amy, can we flip flop it and put the
oh, I see
historic
what you're
ones on the
saying.
17th and take all
Oh,
the,
I see. Yeah.
and then we would have 3 on the first one and 5 on the second. I would better align to the.
I mean, it's not nice to those applicants that were gonna do it on the 17th. Because they were expecting to have them another week, but I. you
Yeah,
know,
but it's
if you
over a
want me
month
to do-
away. Can
Yeah,
you reach out
I
and
mean-
ask?
I think it'd be okay.
I think that it might make more sense.
In respect to that, I'm just thinking of Tyler, again, getting the reports done in a timely manner.
So it would give another week for that as well.
Right, right.
Madam Chairman, do you want to make that decision? Do you want to?
Yeah, can we do that? Is that okay with everybody?
So
Do you need a motion?
Yeah.
Okay, so I move to have the open space and rec and housing applications on January 17th and the historic applications on January 10th.
No, it's the other.
Wait a minute.
Other way.
It's the opposite. Open space and recreation on January 10th and the historic on January 17th.
Yes.
I know we don't have
Housing
a lot
on
of
the 10th too.
time, so but I guess it's just, it just feels like there might be people who really can't do it on the 10th, right? They didn't plan, that's not in their schedule. So
If it doesn't work for them, we'll make it work. But I think we do
Okay.
need to move someone somewhere. I think
Sure.
it does make sense.
So
to
I
do
guess
that.
I would just amend that to say, but we will as a committee be flexible if there's folks who are being moved that would be not feasible for them.
Okay, so how about this? I'll amend the motion that we'll reach out to the applicants, and if feasible, we'll make the change.
Mhm.
If not, is what it is. We'll just have a long meeting.
Okay.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Well, can you
Come
read
on,
the?
Mary, don't make that face at me. I'm trying to end the meeting.
I don't
Back
get
up
it. What
here.
is it? Quickly, tell me what it is. What's this?
Oh.
What is the motion now?
We don't
Okay, so
know.
what-
Don't say that, Michael. We know. So the motion
thought
is
you
that we're
did.
going to reach out to the applicants and we're gonna explore the option of swapping the 2 nights. If we can, we're going to, right? If there's significant like reasons why applicants really can't make that change, we'll keep it as it is. But it gives us the capacity to do so if Amy reaches out and we can.
Oh, wait, sorry. When you say keep it as it is, you mean, I thought you meant that if a couple people can't change it, we'll let them do it when they planned on. But overall, we are making a swap, because I need to contact them right away to let them know.
I will clarify this. I will make sure you know exactly what I mean, but we need to let the Board of Health start their meeting, which is a minute ago.
All right, here's the motion that Amy and Megan will look into changing the dates of the presentations so that the meetings are manageable.
Okay. Sounds
Right.
good. Do I have a second?
Second,
Okay. Aline Busby,
Yes.
Michael Falsetti,
I think so.
Chris Gothier,
Yes.
Nick McGrath Smith. Yes. Mary Moriarty.
Yes.
All right. We did the best we could in an hour.
All right. Bye,
Yep, we
everyone.
did good. All right, good night.
Night.
Have a good
Bye.
holiday, everyone.
Bye.
Oh, yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody.
You too. Thank you.